Good morning, what's going on? Today's video is starting super early. There's a good reason for this. By the way, this is the GoPro Hero 10 Black and this is the DJI Action 2. Let's get into this video.
Now, here's a low light test because lots of folks have been asking for low light tests. Shut up, beeping car. This is an unmerciful challenge that I've no idea I'm going to be able to complete halfway, let alone do the full thing.
Alrighty, so we have arrived at the destination. It's probably a couple of minutes walk from here, but this is going to show the GoPro Hero 10 Black, which is this camera, and the DJI Action 2, which is this camera here, in different lights, literally, because this is a low light test. By the time we get to the top of where we're going, the sun should be up if I make it. And I'm not sure I can make this one because this is one of the tallest hills in the country. And as my coach Liam Griffin from SBG Cork has kind of set this challenge as we've gone back to the gym and started kicking things off a little bit in the hell kick again, well, this is what he said. Gotta say, I'm kind of not looking forward to this, but we'll have a go and see how it goes. Right now, audio is coming from the GoPro Hero 10 Black onboard mic and the DJI Action 2, just the actual camera module itself. Now, other settings wise, we're not doing anything fancy here. Everything on the DJI Action 2 and the GoPro Hero 10 Black are completely on auto, except all of these cameras are shooting 4K 24. That's it. Everything else, it's normal color, GoPro color, no grading, nothing. This is all direct out of camera, low light. And the stabilizations are on, so rock steady's on in the DJI Action 2, and the boost mode and stuff on the Hyper Smooth 20 or whatever it is in the GoPro, that's on as well. Power wise, these have been charged. I've got one extra battery for the GoPro, and I've got the little screen module, which is a power module as well for the DJI Action 2. That's it. So if these last, they last. Now, I'm here at the bottom of the hill that turns into a wall. We've made it to the wall of Patrick's Hill in Cork City. This snow is going to be tough, but speaking of tough, what are we doing for batteries here and power and settings? So the DJI Action 2 has no power settings, it's just on and that's it. The GoPro now has a couple of power states. So for me right now, the GoPro is in the maximum power state, and that's kind of it. This ain't too bad. If we can get to the top of this, you guys are going to see an amazing view, which we'll test out the photo mode on the DJI Action 2 and the GoPro Hero 10 Black, as well as the iPhone 13 Pro, because that is with me as well, because you know, can't live without your phone. Almost made it to the top. Dare I say, that wasn't too bad. Now, right now, I'd love for you guys to interact. I'm whispering because I don't want to wake anybody up. I'd love for you guys to interact in the comments just now. Let me know what you think of the low light between the DJI Action 2 and the GoPro Hero 10 Black. We've made it to one of the most kind of scenic spots of Cork City, which is probably one of the best views. This is Bellsfield. If you were in the States, you might never have heard of it, but if you're in Ireland, you could have well, seen this spot in The Young Offenders. It was shot here, including a very famous scene. But that aside, look at this view. It's pretty sweet. Here's the thing, right? First off, touch and feel, and we're going to get to some other tests later on with these two cameras. But
touch and feel. Gotta say the DJI Action 2 just seems to be that little bit easier. The size is a huge thing here, of course. DJI Action 2 is tiny, but it's just how it feels. It just feels a little bit snappier, even with the new GP10 chip or the GP2 chip or whatever it is in the GoPro Hero 10. And it just, the user interface, the user experience just seems less cumbersome, less swipey. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys are going to use either of these cameras for photos, but both the DJI Action 2 and the GoPro Hero 10 Black have pretty solid photo modes. And given the size of them, they may be quicker than just like rooting around trying to get out your phone, or maybe not. But let's check out kind of a low light photo on the two of these cameras. And right now, you might be able to hear that donging. It's coming up to 7 a.m. Mistakenly probably went for the night lapse with the GoPro, but either way, the DJI Action 2 stopped because battery is now gone. So we're on the new mics, which is 4 stereo mics on the DJI Action 2, which is a screen module, which the audio should sound a little better compared to what it sounded like earlier on. And the GoPro Hero 10 Black is still going on that 50%. So if you're out and about with the DJI Action 2 with just the camera module, battery is going to be an issue. Now, let's see what, non-low light tests look like in the GoPro Hero 10 and the DJI Action 2, and I'm going to get an insanely good breakfast. I think I deserve it, maybe. So after around an hour of turning these things on and off, time lapses, photos, videos, the whole 9 yards, gotta say I prefer the feel, touch and responsiveness of the DJI Action 2. However, the shortcuts on the GoPro Hero 10 Black are an absolute lifesaver. These are really, really, really useful, and they speed up the workflow. Now, it's a small gripe, but when time might be of an issue, then every second helps. This would be hilarious if I just fell into the edge. Not a YouTube video where you're drinking. So one thing that's hugely important here with these two cameras, and it's where they both fall down, is stabilization. Both of these have really good stabilization, but when it comes to low light, they suck, as you could probably see earlier on. Now, if you're in the 4K 120, it might be okay, but stabilization is really important, not because it makes your footage look, smooth or anything, or looks cool, but it's hugely important to the audience. And the reason is, if your footage is jittery and jumping all over the place while you're out and about walking and talking, which I really don't think is the best thing in the world to do when it comes to vlogging, you should stop and change the shot and all that jazz. It can be a distraction to the audience. Right now we're at 4K 24, stabilization is turned off on the GoPro Hero 10 Black, and it's also turned off on the DJI Action 2. So, if we get up and walk around, you can see it's okay. Now, these are doing it all electronically, so it works an awful lot of light, so the more light that you have, the better it is. But when they're turned off, this is kind of what you get. Now, if we turn it around, it is what it is. So what about when you turn the stabilization onto the max in these two cameras at just the 4K 24 setting? Just a bit of a difference. Now, when it comes to the slow motion stuff like the 4K 120, yeah, you don't even need it because it's going so slow. For anyone that's ever kind of shooting these types of things, you can sympathize that. Shot, set up, shoot, set up, shoot, set up, shoot, get the camera, shoot, set up, shoot, get the camera, go back and forth and go back and forth. But that's all part of the fun of it. But just on the side note, it really helps you think about the type of shots that you're trying to put together.
Let me know right now, which did you prefer in this video? Was it the DJI Action 2 or was it the GoPro Hero 10 Black? I gotta be honest, I am incredibly torn between these two cameras. I love the aesthetics of the DJI Action 2. This magnetic system is really, really good. The GoPro Hero 10... The GoPro Hero... the GoPro Hero 10 Black, I gotta be honest, it does feel a little dated. It's a little bit cumbersome, and as we all know, getting this thing open is, yeah, smashed fingers. On the image quality, that's another thing. I mean, go back and look. I mean, you shouldn't be looking at these cameras for low light, but invariably you're probably going to use them for low light at some point anyway. But when it comes to image quality between the GoPro Hero 10 Black and the DJI Action 2, again, I'm incredibly torn between these two cameras. In low light, the DJI Action 2 seems to be a little bit better. Actually, in places, it's substantially better than the GoPro Hero 10 Black, but it's a little bit more noisy, while the GoPro seems to keep the noise level down, but loses a little bit of the detail. In a kind of a brightly lit daylight condition, there's not a lot between the two, except there is potentially one huge problem with the DJI Action 2. And that's the lens is almost too wide. There's a substantial difference between the two lenses on these cameras to kind of keep the unwarped view, even though the GoPro Hero 10 Black will still warp things because it's a wide lens. But this, if you go back and you look at the videos on the edges with the DJI Action 2, it's super, super wide, so everything feels it's like elongated and it's kind of stretched, and then there's a weird distortion thing going on, which it's not a great look, even though it's a lot wider and the shots are a little bit more immersive. But when you look at the sides, it's like, Audio-wise, the GoPro Hero 10 Black seems to be picking up audio from everywhere. It's a little bit louder, but it just seems to be kind of all-encompassing, and it's okay. But however, this, on the other hand, especially with the extra mics that are built onto this one here on the module, I think it sounds just a little bit better. It's easier on the ears. Either way, both of these mics are very different, but they are going to sound okay if you're just using the onboard stuff. And it might be just a little bit easier to connect a USB wireless lav to this than to this, which you'll have to get a dongle for. Now that leaves me with the durability of the two of these. I smashed this not so long ago pretty easily. This hasn't really fallen, and I do feel a little bit naked that it doesn't have a screen protector or a cage. Should have some cool accessories for this in the next couple of weeks though. So the GoPro 10 technically, or theoretically at least, should be that little bit more durable than this. But all that aside, there's not a lot between these two cameras. 5K, absolutely, it's a big deal, but in the bigger scheme of things, is it that big a deal for you as a creator? Is 4K 24 and 4K 120, which is exceptionally good in both cameras? Yeah. Battery wise, this is okay. Battery wise, this on its own is a bit of a struggle, but together with the power module or the screen module, you're going to get a lot of juice, and you will probably have to replace a battery. I had zero overheating issues with the two of these cameras on this video. So depending on the climate that you're in, if it was like, 10, 13 degrees Celsius on this one, then it's fine. But if you're in a very warm climate, both of these cameras will undoubtedly melt and will shut down to protect themselves, which is obviously a good thing. So I'm really torn, but I think it's just the aesthetics of this one, the DJI Action 2, makes, if I had to grab which one am I going to use, I probably go for this one first. It's less cumbersome, even though GoPro shortcuts are useful, but the one thing I don't like is the distortion in the super wide lens. But I know somebody's saying, well, you could kind of crop in a little bit. Man, maybe you could. Either way, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments right now. Which did you think overall looked the best and sounded the best?